Hi everyone, before we start our discussion, we will likely introduce ourselves. I am Poh Yee, metric number 254945.
Good day everyone, my name is Kuan Lyn, metric number 256219. Y'all can call me Aaron.
Hello everyone, my name is Soo Ching Yee and my metric number is 253757.
Hello, good day everyone. My name is Chieu Yee, metric number 255051.
Hi, good day everyone. My name is Lim Jia Xin, metric number 253506.
Welcome all members to this small group discussion. Thank you for coming. Can we call our discussion to start?
Yes.
Guys, how are you lately?
I'm fine.
Yes,
I am fine.
But not me, you know right? The movement control order has been troubling me since March. Do you all walk around without a mask recently? Now authorities are quite strict. I've seen them summon a few people who did not wear masks while buying things in convenience stores.
Aaron, I think good citizens always do wear masks when they are outside, but sometimes I also have been annoyed by people because they keep throwing their masks everywhere and they do not dispose their masks in a proper way.
Yes, I also saw this situation frequently. It's a serious issue. Masks should be disposed of in a proper way. Ignoring this issue will cause many negative effects.
I agree with you, Chieu Yee. Improper disposal of masks can create mass pollution. Mass pollution has been serious recently.
Do you all of you know mass pollution also will cause an increase of plastic pollution?
You are right. Masks are made from polypropylene that is part of the thermoplastic. It may take hundreds of years to completely degrade.
Yes, Chieu Yee. Therefore, sometimes I saw some people will burn their mask after they dispose it. Do you all know? Actually, this action can cause the carbon dioxide to be emitted to the air, and at the same time, it can cause the greenhouse effect to be more severe.
Other than plastic pollution, hygiene issues are also arise due to this action at this point of time, as we know that coronavirus can spread through the air.
I totally agree with you, Aaron. Hygiene issues that arise from improper disposal of masks will cause many people being infected. Mass pollution is very dangerous.
Wow, it's a terrible issue that is just made by a small waste mask. I think we should come up with some solutions to solve this problem. Do you all have any suggestions, ideas for mass pollution?
In my opinion, I think carrying out an online campaign for masks is able to solve this problem. This is because online campaign enable widespread information to large target audience and it can raise the people awareness of mass pollution.
For me, I think using a reusable mask is a good idea. This is because reusable masks can be washed and used again for a longer period. Therefore, the mass pollution can be solved.
As we can see, people who did not follow standard operating procedures, authorities will summon them as penalties for 1,000 ringgit. In the same way, I think the government should impose higher penalties. For example, 1,500 ringgit financial penalties and imprisonment up to 6 months.
Poh Yee, I also have an idea. I think we should conduct a small team to collect thrown masks. For example, we can encourage more people to join the volunteer groups that aim to collect used masks that will not dispose of properly. With that, it can reduce the quantity of used masks spread everywhere.
What about Chieu Yee?
In my opinion, I think that the government should prepare some specific mask trust-bin. I suggest this because, as we know, one of the problems in Malaysia is lack of trust-bin. Due to this, people like to littering, and with the sufficient mask trust-bin, people are able to dispose of their mask in a proper way rather than just throw it away.
These solutions are sensible, but we need to come up with some criteria. Based on the criteria, we know whether the solution is feasible in reality.
I suggest the first criteria is reliability. It's the level of implementation of the solution to solve the issue. Reliable indicates the solution can be implemented. Moderate indicates there are some challenges, while poor indicates it's difficult to implement. How about others?
I agree.
I agree with you.
Anyone have other opinions?
I suggest time and criteria is described as the duration of time required to plan, implement the solution. We can categorize in 3 periods which are fast within 1 week and moderate is between 2 to 4 weeks, while slow is more than 1 month.
It's great.
It's great.
For me, I suggest sustainability to be the next criteria. It describes the ability to maintain the solution at a period. I suggest sustainable can be postponed to 2 years and unsustainable in less than 2 years. Do you guys agree with it?
Yes.
Yes.
I agree with it. So for me, I will suggest cost as the next criteria. The cost is about the total amount that need to implement the solution. And I suggest the range for the cost that required to implement the solution, which is inexpensive, 50 ringgit and below, and average cost is around 51 ringgit to 500 ringgit, and for the expensive will be 500 ringgit and above.
Yes,
Great.
that's correct.
Yes, that's right.
Great idea. Okay, for the last criteria, I suggest environmentally friendly as the last criteria. It is to describe whether the solution is causing harm or not to the environment. Eco-friendly may show there is no pollution. Moderate shows there is a little pollution, and non-eco-friendly indicates huge pollution.
Great. I agree
Great.
with your
I
agree
agree
with
with
your
your criteria. Alright. Since now we had identified the 5 criteria, at this moment we shall compare and evaluate each solution with those criteria.
Sure.
Let us start with the first solution, which is carry out an online campaign of mass pollution. Is it reliable?
I think online campaigns are reliable because we are able to spread the awareness of mass pollution to a large target audience, and we can advise them to not throw the mask randomly.
Yes, as now is the era of fiber networks, this must be quite easy to carry out this solution. Do you agree, Ching Yee?
Yes, I agree with you, Aaron. I say this because, as you know now, most of the people are more active on online. Therefore, I think this is quite easy to carry out this solution.
Sorry for interrupting. In my opinion, there are many elder citizens who are not active on social media. Based on that, it's hard to spread awareness to them through online campaign. So the reliability, we remark it as moderate. Do you guys agree?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
we
we
agree.
agree. So let's move to the next criteria, which is time.
I think the authorities that want to hold this online campaign should be fast. In my opinion, I think we can implement it in around 1 week. Yes.
Yes, in my opinion, I think 1 week is appropriate because online campaigns are only required to create a nice poster and some good captions to catch people's eyes. While working in a team, online campaigns can be implemented faster.
So the time to implement the solution is 1 week, which falls at the level of fast. Next, will this solution sustain more than 2 years?
I think my suggestion is sustainable because the online campaign is able to persist in the long term, like the measures sent through an online campaign can raise the awareness of mass pollution.
Excuse me, Chieu Yee, I don't think so. In my view, I think that this solution cannot sustain for a longer period. This is because there are more online activity keep coming on, so the people may forget the campaign and also the information that needs to be provided.
I agree with you, Jingy, because everything appears online is not sustainable. For example, some of the YouTubers, they are just come and go, right?
Yes, I agree with you, Aaron. Because the information on social media is large. Now, there are many new and interesting information will replace the old information.
All right, I agree with your conclusion to say that it's not sustainable.
Next, will an online campaign be costly?
In my opinion, online campaigns are the cheapest ways because there are many things we can carry out on.
You are right. Live stream can be conducted in many channels such as Facebook, Instagram, and it's free to do a live session.
I agree with you, as I had the experience as a page admin before. I know that it's only costs around 50 ringgit to make a promotion at Facebook for 1 week. This price is quite reasonable because it is inexpensive and the authorities also afford to pay.
Yes, that's right. Sometimes it's also totally free to organize an online campaign at those online platforms.
So the cost is categorized as inexpensive. Do you think this solution is environmentally friendly?
I think it's environmentally friendly because the solution can be conducted with just a laptop and a Wi-Fi.
Yes, you are right, Chieu Yee. Personally, I think online campaigns do not create some harm or pollution to the environment, as the material that we need to organize the online campaign can only obtain from the online also.
Yes, in my opinion, everything can be conducted online. The participants are not required to gather for campaign. Indirectly, it can reduce the usage of vehicle and reduce air pollution.
I agree with Jasin. We should label it as eco-friendly.
Mm. At this moment, did any of you have objections?
No.
No.
Okay, let's move to the next solution, which is using reusable mask.
In my opinion, I think using a reusable mask is a reliable solution. This is because reusable masks can be obtained easily.
I agree with your viewpoint, Jasin. It's very easy to get a reusable mask. For example, reusable mask can be obtained easily from the physical shop or online selling platform.
I
Like Shopee, Lazada.
understand what you mean, but in my opinion, although the reusable mask is easy to obtain, but not all reusable mask is qualified, it is because there are many immediate of reusable masks that show in the market, and it can cause the people fear from using or purchase the reusable mask.
I understand your concern. In my opinion, people can buy reusable masks from pharmacy or outlets with good reputation. Based on that, people can get authentic reusable masks.
Yes, that's right. I suggest everyone buy the reusable mask at a legal outlet. Following that, it can turn the solution becomes reliable.
How about time to implement the solution?
In my opinion, the time to implement the solution is considered as fast. This is because the solution can be conducted once people get the mask. Generally, people will get the mask in around less than 1 week.
Did everyone agree on this evaluation?
Yes, I agree.
Alright, let's move forward to the third criteria, which is sustainability.
In my opinion, using a reusable mask is sustainable because the mask can be washed.
Yes, Justin, you are right. For instance, the reusable mask also can sanitize through the UV light, hence it can use for longer period, and I think it's quite sustainable.
But I have a different opinion regarding sustainability. I think people will not wear the reusable mask for long periods, as I know reusable mask is thick compared to the normal face mask.
Regarding to the thickness of the mask, there are various reusable mask designs. People can choose the reusable mask that is suitable for them.
Yes, although people will feel uncomfortable when wearing a mask, choosing the right reusable mask can reduce the problem.
That's right. With a suitable reusable mask, the reusable mask can sustain for a longer period. How about the cost to implement the solution?
Opinion, the cost to have a reusable mask is slightly higher compared to the disposable mask. But I think people are willing to pay for the reusable mask.
I agree with you, Jasin. Although a reusable mask is costly, but thinking about the money is paid for several years, so it's worth for everyone to own a reusable mask to protect their health.
I'm sorry, but I don't agree about this. In fact, many people use the disposable mask is because the price is cheap, and we know nowadays the economy is selling down. I think not everyone can afford to purchase a reusable mask.
However, although it is quite expensive, we should choose a mask that is good and does not create any negative effects.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, right. What do you all think about environmentally friendly?
Based on my opinion, I think using a reusable mask is environmental friendly. Through this method, it can prevent creation of abundant waste that is caused by disposable masks.
Yes, you are right. Using a reusable mask is also can prevent people from throwing the mask randomly, so mask pollution can be solved.
Based on this discussion, we can conclude that using a reusable mask is reliable, fast, sustainable, average cost, and eco-friendly.
Okay,
Yes.
let
Yes.
us move to the third solution, which is imposing penalties.
For this solution, I think that imposing penalties for those people who did not properly manage the mask is reliable because when the government imposes the penalties regulations, people would be scared of being charged money.
But I think it's not reliable because during the pandemic, there are citizens who didn't wear masks even though the government fined them for 1,000 ringgit. And what's the point for imposing penalties?
Sorry, I mean if the government fines are 1,000 ringgit and citizens are not afraid of it, then they can impose the penalties by fining more 500 ringgit. That is 1,500 ringgit. So that people are more afraid because not everyone has the ability to pay the penalties for a few times.
I agree with Poh Yee because when the people who did not obey the law, they will be fined 1,500 ringgit. After that, they will get a lesson from that and will not be repeat the fault again.
So for the reliability criteria for this solution, we think is reliable.
Alright, move on the next criteria, time. Do you think the time for the implementation for this solution is fast or slow?
I think the duration is slow. This is because the government needs to bring the issue to parliament. It requires some time to discuss and progress, right?
Sorry, Poh Yee, I don't think so. In my opinion, I think it can be done within a short period because it is an emergency issue.
But I agree with Poh Yee because law are still laws. We need to follow the long sequence of procedure. The government can implement the penalty to people after they getting the agreement.
I also agree with your point. So the implementation is slower. Okay, come to sustainability criteria. Is the implementation of penalties sustainable?
I think this solution is hard to sustain because when the government imposes 1,005 ringgit to individuals, they will hold a grudge and become dissatisfied with them.
Excuse me, Poh Yee, I don't think so. I say this because as we know that now the mass solution is quite serious, and I think the law is sustainable as the people need to obey and follow the law to prevent to get the penalties.
I agree with you, Chieu Yee. Since the pandemic is becoming more serious, I think most of the citizens will cooperate.
But for me, I also think that penalty are sustainable.
So does everyone think the solution is sustainable?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we continue with the cost of implementation. Boy, what do you think?
I think in terms of cost, my solution is inexpensive because it is concerning government implementation only.
Only you're right. Only the citizens are required to pay the penalties, and the government only will need a low cost to implement it.
In my opinion, I agree with Poh Yee because we are just focusing on the cost to implement. During the process of implementation, it did not require much money.
I agree with your point of view. Yes.
So we have come to an agreement that it is inexpensive to implement. The next, we go to the next criteria, environmentally friendly.
I think this solution is environmentally friendly because the laws will not harm the environment.
But I think the implementation is not environmental friendly because this action like someone is written on the paper.
Well, we put this solution at a moderate level as it does not create a huge pollution to the environment.
Yes, I think moderate level is suitable for this solution.
Okay. So now we have come to a consensus for this solution. So the solution is reliable, sustainable, and inexpensive to implement. But the time to implement is slow, and it is moderate, eco-friendly.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, let's move to the next solution, which is conducting a small team to collect trauma. What do you think of this solution?
I think my solution is reliable because it can be implemented with a group of friends.
Yes, I agree with you. Now continue to collect the throw mass is able to reduce the mass pollution.
It's a good idea, but I have a different view on this solution. I feel that this solution is not reliable because they have to risk their life to correct those traumas.
Gassing sounds convincing. They are because the trauma has many bacteria and people get infected if they accidentally touch the trauma.
Yes. Okay, let's move to the next criteria, which is time.
Okay, in my opinion, I think the time needed to plan the solution is short. We will only require to gather a group of friends and hang out as usual.
Yes, Aaron, you are right. It's just an activity of gathering the change to collect the traumas.
In my opinion, I think the time can be moderate because the government encourage people to stay at home. The solution requires some time to plan and implement.
I think I agree with your point is correct. Plus now it's CMC also it's hard for people to gather and go outside.
I also agree with Jia Xin and Chieu Yee, so the time is moderate. Did everyone agree?
Yes.
That's right.
Okay, now we move to the next criteria, which is sustainability.
Okay, I think it is sustainable as it can be repeated for many years.
But I think the solution cannot be sustainable for a long period as it's highly consuming collectors' energy.
That's right, Chieu Yee. In my opinion, I also think that this solution is unsustainable because the traumas are everywhere. Although the people are keep continuing to collect it, over the time people will feel bored to carrying the same activities. So I think it cannot maintain for a longer period.
Yes, I also agree that this solution is unsustainable.
Alright, so this solution is unsustainable. Does everyone agree?
Yes.
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 How about the environmentally friendly?
I think it is environmentally friendly because this solution doesn't cause any extra pollution while it reduces the pollution.
Yes, you are right.
Yes.
So in conclusion, the solution is for moderate level, time consuming, unsustainable, inexpensive, and eco-friendly. How about the last solution? Preparing mass trash bin at public areas. Is this solution reliable?
In terms of reliability, I think my solution is reliable. This is because with the sufficient of transbin, people are able to dispose of their mass into the transbin and the mass pollution can reduce.
Sorry, Chingy, I think this solution may have few challenges to be implemented.
Yes, Aaron, some people may be too lazy to find a mass bin, so they will throw it anyway.
I agree with Chieu Yee. When there are sufficient trustmen in the public area, people are easy to reach the trustmen and prevent lazy behavior.
I agree with what Justin said. When people continue proper practice, sure it can reduce the mass pollution. Did all of you agree that it's reliable?
Yes.
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 How about the cost?
In terms of cost, I think my solution is expensive due to the mass productions of the mass transbin. So I consider my solution is expensive.
Okay, Chingy, I think it will be an average cost.
Yes, Aaron, as the cost for plastic material is cheap, so it's not be too expensive.
I'm sorry, Aaron and Shirley. I think you have understood me. As for the trusting that for this solution is specifically for the disposal of mass, so it will require a high cost to produce it. Therefore, I consider my solution is at an expensive range.
That's right. As the trustman is specifically for mass disposal, so the cost will be expensive for this solution.
It's right. When it involves a special item and it should be expensive. I just agree with it.
Yes.
Yes, agree.
How about the time for this solution?
Based on my suggestion, I think the time to implement the solution is low. This is because they need to go through the many process like the the documentation and also the producing the transcript.
Sorry again, Chingy, but I think the time is within a month. If the government look at the mass pollution as a serious issue, they might work more efficient to solve this problem.
I agree with Ching Yee because now productivity is becoming slow due to coronavirus. Thus, procedure may be slowed down, so it needs more time, maybe 1 month to implement it.
Yes, Chieu, you are right. We know that it needs to go through many procedures when it's related to government project.
I also agree with Chieu Yee, so we remark slow for this solution. How about sustainability?
I think my solution is sustainable. This is because with the traffic that provided at the public area is to exist permanently. So when the people are continue showing their mask into the traffic, over the time they will maintain these practices. Then so I think it is sustainable.
Does everyone agree with Chieu Yee's evaluation?
Yes,
Yes, I
I
agree.
I guess so.
Okay, let's move to the last criteria, environmentally friendly.
I think my solution is like a moderate eco-friendly, which may have some pollutions to the environment. This is because when producing the mass transport, it will produce some waste to the environment.
What kind of waste can it produce?
Such waste can like smoke or chemical waste to the environment.
Yeah, you are totally right. It's for sure there might be some pollution when producing the trash bin.
Yes, smoke and chemicals are a source of pollution that can harm the environment.
I also agree with it, so we will remark it as moderate eco-friendly. Okay?
Okay,
Yes,
for
Alright, we conclude that this solution is reliable, expensive, slow to implement, sustainable, and moderate eco-friendly. So any of you have any objection from the criteria?
No,
it's
bullying.
great to
it's
proceed.
great.
Great to process.
Yes.
Alright, since we have discussed all the 5 solutions with those criteria, now we need to discuss the best solution for solving pollution. So any of you have any ideas?
I think using a reusable mask is the best solution to solve mass pollution. This is because using a reusable mask is more sustainable as a reusable mask can be used for a longer period.
Yes, I agree that using a reusable mask is the best solution as it can be planned and implemented in a faster period.
Sorry, I'm not agree with your point because I think online campaign can also be implemented in a fast duration, which is within 1 week.
Yes, Julie, you are right. In my opinion, I think the reusable mask actually need an average cost to implement it. Meanwhile, for the online campaign, it is inexpensive because it will need a low cost to implement it and to spread the information through online.
How about Poh Yee? What do you think?
In my opinion, both are good solutions, although it requires some money to purchase a reusable mask, but it can be used for a long period. So for me, I must agree that using reusable masks as the best solution to solve the mask pollution.
Yes, once people purchase the reusable mask and wear it, it's able to reduce the use of a single using mask. Hence, it can reduce waste and is eco-friendly.
After listening to the explanation from you guys, I have the change on my mind to agree that using a reusable mask is the best solution because it's more sustainable.
Yes, for me, I also agree that using reusable mask is quite best solution as we know that the reusable mask is more reliable than the online campaign. This is because the reusable mask is easy to obtain than the online campaign, and online campaign may have some challenge to implement it because some people like the old generation that not so active at online and then they miss the campaign and the information too.
Alright, from the explanation, we can conclude using reusable mask is the best solution to solve mass pollution. However, did anyone have ideas on making a solution being implemented smoothly?
For my opinion, I suggest that we can gain support from the government. Do you guys agree?
Yes, you are right.
Yes.
Government can give support in providing subsidies to every citizen.
I agree with you. With the subsidy for the government, everyone can afford to buy the reusable mask.
Following that, it can encourage everyone to have a reusable mask and mass pollution can be reduced.
Alright, we come to a conclusion that using a reusable mask is the best solution to solve mask pollution. To implement the solution smoothly, gaining support from the government is a crucial step we should carry out. Thank you, everyone.